What's up, guys? Just got done with probably close to like a 23-hour car ride, and it is the last day of the month. I have one more video to record. That's a perfect segue into what I want to talk about today is what does it really take to be an entrepreneur? And I'm not doing any intros for this one. I don't have a script. I'm just talking because this is something that is getting increasingly more important to me. A couple weeks ago, I did a video on what does it take to run a 7-figure business. And I think that that's good stuff to know. But I think that before anybody can even start thinking about that, they have to figure out, do they have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? Do they have what it takes to have their own business? Do they have what it takes to be personally responsible for themselves, right? And what got me passionate about wanting to make this video is I got a message the other day from a client, and this individual went through the program. So for those of you that don't know, you can check out a lot of my other videos. I really don't want to get too much into it. But I coach insurance agents on how to scale their business through social media, Facebook ads, all that type of stuff. And so a lot of it is like mindset. It's like teaching them how to be better business owners. And this individual went through the program, did a ton of the work, and got to the point where we tell them that, hey, it's time for you to like learn how to scale your business, and scaling your business through what we teach, right? And this isn't through everything, but through what we teach takes taking what's working and going to paid ads, where you spend money on Facebook ads or YouTube ads. And to this individual, that was an expense, right? And I tried to explain to them that when you do what we teach you, which she had already done the work, ads aren't an expense, they're a multiplier. You put money in, you get money out. It's not an expense. An expense is something that you put money in and you don't get anything out. And so this individual said to me, maybe you don't remember what it was like when you were starting out. And that really triggered me. And I wanted to make a video on, from a place of anger, of like, this is everything that I went through, and nobody's willing to do what I went through when I started my business. People out there just think that they want to get rich and have a successful business, and nobody can compare to what I did. And as much as I want to make that video, I'm not going to. On this drive home from Florida, the 20 some hours I had with a wife so graciously handling our son that was crying on and off, a 10-month-old son. So it was a pretty stressful ride. But during a lot of this, we listened to some sermons, we listened to some talks, we listened to a lot of stuff, and I spent a lot of time, a lot of Bible time, just really reflecting and trying to figure out like, what does God want me to be sharing, just in general. But this message kept coming up, and he definitely told me, do not share this message from a place of anger. And so. But with that, I think that the message is still really important. So after getting back, we haven't even been home for 30 minutes, but I have to get this video filmed because it's the end of the month and I have a certain number of videos that I committed to doing, and I'm gonna freaking do them. So I'm gonna get this one out here. So this video is going to be really about, should you be an entrepreneur, and do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? And instead of taking it from a place of anger and a place of hurt, which I'm going to try to avoid those emotions, I'm going to take it from a place of inspiration and motivation. And for those that are meant to be entrepreneurs, this should be very inspiring and motivating. For those of you that are on the fence, I hope it'll help you make a decision. And for those of you that like the idea and the status of seeing somebody at the entrepreneur level that's successful and wanting that, but not wanting to do what it takes to get there. The years of being poor, the years of eating crap, figuratively, the years of doing really, really, really hard work. I hope this keeps you from going on a journey that, if you're not really meant to be an entrepreneur, I hope it saves you time. So with that, yeah, let's get into it. So I just want to start by sharing my story about, what type of person I am, what I went through, what I did do. And I want to share this again. I'm trying to avoid those emotions of anger or anything like that. But I do want to share like what I have had to do to get to the point to where I am now. So graduated college. Before even graduating college, I worked for Northwestern Mutual. I was an insurance agent. I basically spent most of my time calling friends and family, cold calling people, doing a lot of the stuff that probably a lot of people that watch my channel right here do. And I didn't love it. I really like the products. I like that. Me at age 20 is not the person I am now. I was not at that point willing to do what it takes. But I think that oftentimes like the entrepreneur comes from reaching a level of a point that they're so unwilling to take anything more that they become willing to do anything to reach their own dream, success, financial freedom, whatever it may be. At this point in time, I wasn't there. I wasn't willing to cold call. I wasn't willing to do as many dials as I probably should have. But what I did do is I tried to be clever. I tried to like figure out other ways to, prospect. I tried to figure out ways to use the internet and all that stuff. But I didn't know what I didn't know what I know now about advertising. And so ended up going into graduating and going and getting a job at a corporate company. And this company is a company called, well, it doesn't matter what it's called, but basically my job was to be a manager trainee. And this is probably a position, knowing what I know now, hiring people, training people, probably could have been trained up within a month or two, but they took a year to train us in this position. They wanted this position to be a year long, getting to know each individual part of the company. And we were a company that was the middleman between electricians and part manufacturers. But point being is that it was extremely boring, and I quickly found out that I was not meant to be an employee. I literally hated, and I've known this part for a long time, since I was a young child. I hate being told what to do. I hate being more so told what I can't do. I hate having to be stuck in a cubicle or in an office or in anywhere that I don't want to be for any certain period of time. I hate having to be places at a certain time. And I cannot work for somebody. And through this period, which wasn't even a full year, that's when I hit my rock bottom as an employee, as somebody that basically the entrepreneur was born. I, at that point, was like, I will do anything at all, no matter what it takes, to never have to work for somebody ever again. I would rather pretty much do anything than work for somebody. I got to a point where being in a life of working for somebody for 40 years didn't feel like I was living, and I just couldn't do that ever. Like, I needed to stop immediately. And so I quit. Like, I had and we can get into, I've talked about this, my entire story, in other videos, and I'll talk about it in more in the future. But I ended up spending about 6 hours of the 8-hour day working, and I would go home and spend another 6 hours trying to figure out how to make money online, how to start my own business. So 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, I was researching. And I did that probably for 3 to 4 months before I ever decided what I wanted to do. And then from there, I decided that what I wanted to do is create an online store that's using a business model called Amazon FBA and creating an e-commerce company, because that's what I researched. That seemed like what was the best idea. And I was willing so much to get that business to work that I took $40,000 and I sent it off to China. And it did work. I ended up making money with that. I was able to quit my job. I was able to continue, but I don't really want to talk about the successes in this video. I want to talk about all the things that I went through that I was only able to do because I literally had no other choice. I couldn't continue. I I doing what I was doing, having a boss, the monotony, showing up at the same time every single day, leaving at the same time every single day, was not living. I was willing to literally throw away every single penny I ever had in order to figure out a way that I would never have to do this again. I was willing to put every single hour of every single day working to figure out how I never have to do this again, right? It wasn't about going to work and spending hours working that I didn't like. It was working for somebody else. It was building up somebody else's dreams. It was building up somebody else's company when I knew that I had the mentality. I knew that I had the intelligence. I knew I had the resourcefulness and the ability to learn to where I didn't have to be doing this for somebody else. I knew that I was going to figure out how to do this myself. And so money doesn't matter when you're in that point, right? The amount of money that I could have thrown away, the amount of debt that I could have and eventually did get into. I mean, at one point I was $100,000 in debt from an e-commerce company because I needed to figure out how to do this, right? And so I need to digress right here because I'm getting off into a tangent, but the point being is that in order to become an entrepreneur, you need to hit such a rock bottom that you are willing to risk anything and everything to make what your dream is work. Whether that be your business, whether that be freedom to be able to live your life without having to go into work, whether that be creating a business that will ultimately create a life for your family. You have to figure out what the why is ultimately. And there's two different ways that you can do that, right? People are either moving away from pain, which that was clearly me in the beginning. Now it's more the second one, or you're moving towards something. So if you're moving away from pain and you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you need to hit a point where that pain is so painful that you will do whatever it takes to get out of that. I heard this video the other day of some guy that said he wanted to lose weight and he knew how to do it, but he just wasn't able to do it. And the person speaking to him said that you might have to get bigger. Like you might have to gain more weight because I don't think you have enough pain from how big you are right now in order to actually have hit rock bottom enough to change. And that's what it is with being an entrepreneur. You have to hit a point if your motivation is moving away from pain. You have to hit a point to where if you've worked for 5, 10, 15 years, saved up $5, $10, $15,000, you have to be willing to lose all of that in order to make your dreams come true, in order to fulfill this business that is going to allow you to be the entrepreneur, that is going to allow you to be self-sustaining from a business that you've created yourself, to be able to create income that will make you live, right? In order to get to that point, you have to be able to throw away every single dollar that you've made up until this point. And every single dollar that you do continue to make, it's not for you to hoard onto, it's for you to continue to put back into this model till it becomes self-sustaining, right? First thing that you're going to need to have to detach from is money. The second thing you're going to have to detach from is time. Because in the beginning, you're going to put in way more time getting a business off the ground, getting a business to make you money from the skills that you have developed than it would be to just go work 8 hours for somebody else. As I said in the beginning, I was putting away 12 hours a day trying to figure out how to make money online, make a business, make some sort of income so I didn't have to go to this freaking job every single day, right? And so that's moving away from pain. The other thing is moving towards something. Now, some people, it's much more people are on the side of moving away from pain. Some people are on the side of moving towards something. So if you have a family, that can be financial freedom, the ability to pay for any school your kid wants to go to one day, the ability to make sure that your kid gets any of the clothes that they want, any of the food that they want, any of the trips that your family wants, whatever that is for you. And it doesn't have to be around family. That's just the most obvious and easy example. But when you're building up your business, you may have a family right now, but the thing that when you're moving towards something, the thing that you need to make every decision with is, does your future family deserve what you're doing right now? Does the future you, does that deserve what you're doing right now? What I mean by that is every single time when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, that you get home from a 20-hour drive and decide not to make that video. Every time that you are supposed to make $50 in a day and you make 49. Every single time that you're supposed to spend writing out 3 ads. I'm just giving examples of what I tell my people to do, but this can be anything. Anytime that you were supposed to write out some ads, anytime you were supposed to write out a script for your business, anytime that you were supposed to hop on a meeting with your team, anytime that you don't do any of those things, is that what your future family deserves? Is for you to be slacking and not doing what it takes to make this business work? Is that what your future self, who you want to be proud of you right now, that you're doing all of this for? Everything with entrepreneurship is not for instant gratification, it's for future gratification, right? It's for a better life tomorrow. So every time that you slip up, every time that you're unwilling to spend $1, every time that you're unwilling to put in the time, to put in the effort, to make content, to make videos, to make calls, to make sales, to do whatever it is to drive revenue for your business right now, every single time that you're unwilling to do that, it is you letting your future self down. It is you letting your future kids down. It is you letting your future spouse, wife, husband, whoever it may be, down. So I am getting passionate about but that is because it's not from anger, right? It is not from the anger from the comment that I got, but it is because I see so many people, insurance agents and not insurance agents, that come to me and they want time freedom. They want to be able to travel. They want to be able to provide an amazing life for their family and their kids, but they're not willing to sacrifice $1 now. They're not willing to sacrifice an hour now for that in the future. And ultimately, I think that that's what it comes down to when it is the decision, when it is time to make the decision, are you willing to be an entrepreneur? Are you really willing to work hard today for your life tomorrow? And most people are not. And even me, who has been doing this for 5 years, and every single day I have to wake up and be like, do I want to live for today or do I want to live for tomorrow? Tomorrow's not a figurative thing. Sometimes it is a figurative thing, but tomorrow is, for me, it's like 5 years, right? But for you, it could be 10 years, whatever it may be. The point is, I'm saying the word tomorrow to symbolize your future self. And you don't want to get into a point where you never realize that tomorrow. You never live in that life that you were working for, right? Because then you just get addicted to your work, and that's not really what it's for. We all become entrepreneurs. We all start businesses so they can achieve things for us. So make sure that you do at some point enjoy that. If you have been able to be an entrepreneur, if you have been able to be somebody that has put time, effort, money, whatever it may be, into a business and has had some success, make sure that you are providing for your family. Make sure that you are doing those things, enjoying that, because it's easy to fall in the trap of not doing that. But I digress again. I'm passionate about this because I have so many people that I teach, so many people that I know, that I'm friends with, that say they want to have success. They have anxiety about the fact that they aren't making money, yet they're trying to be entrepreneurs. Yet at the same time, they're so afraid to spend a single dollar on something that has infinite amounts of return by putting it into their own business compared to putting it into a savings account or under their own freaking mattress or into a stock account that's going to get you 10%. Putting it into your own business, betting on yourself as the entrepreneur, is going to have exponentially, infinitely higher returns than putting money into the normal places that other normal, common people put money, which is fine. But if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, it's because you were trying to have an uncommon life, and it's because you were trying to have uncommon things, which means that you have to do uncommon things. So to wrap this up, just really, before you start a business, or if you have started a business, sit down and think, is this what I want to be doing? Am I willing to literally blow through all of my life savings in order to create a vehicle that will allow me to be free? Allow me to not have to work for somebody ever again. Allow me to be able to be fully control of my financial situation, to provide whatever is necessary, whatever is wanted, whatever is dreamed of, whatever is desired from my future self, from my future family. If that's you, if that's something that you want, are you willing to risk every single dollar that you've ever made in order to do that? Are you willing to risk 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3, 4, 5 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be? Another thing I did too is when I was starting out is I sacrificed everything that was happening right now. We lived in a place that was, I was very blessed and in order to have this opportunity, but we lived in a place that was $250 rent. We were spending very little money. We've spent very little money on food. I was, in addition to starting my business, I was also door dashing, driving for Uber. I was, my wife was babysitting, she was working at a restaurant. When you are trying to start a business, you have to sacrifice everything that you currently have right now. You have to put yourself into a position where your monthly expenses are very, very little. Otherwise, you have such a big hole to dig yourself out of in order to actually start a business. So that's another really important thing is, are you willing to sacrifice money? Are you willing to sacrifice time? And are you also willing to sacrifice your life now for those things that you want in the future? Because if you're not willing to do those three things, then you probably aren't willing to be an entrepreneur. And if you aren't willing to be an entrepreneur, then you probably shouldn't be self-employed. You probably shouldn't be responsible for yourself. You probably shouldn't be the person managing yourself to make sure that you show up for yourself on time, to make sure that you do the things that you tell yourself you're going to do. Because if you aren't willing to do those things, you probably don't respect yourself enough to manage yourself in order to run your own business, to be self-employed, to do sales, to do whatever it may be. And the thing is that, like, so many people hide behind the wall of, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, I just do sales. But the thing is that, like, if you just do sales, if you're just 1099, if you're just self-employed, whatever it may be, you're just using to hide behind so that you don't have to take the full responsibility of being an entrepreneur. But the fact is that you, in any of those positions, you are fully responsible for the money that comes in. You are fully responsible for making sure that sales happen. You are fully responsible for making sure that marketing happens, that people are prospected, that people come to you. If you're in any position where you have full responsibility over that stuff, whether you like it or identify with it or not, you are an entrepreneur. And so you need to be able to be prepared to do those things that I talked about before. Otherwise, you're going to continually run an uphill battle. And it may just be easier for you to go find a job and get paid a salary where you trade time for money, rather than focusing on being in a position where you're fully responsible for yourself. Because at the end of the day, I see it every day. People that think that they want to be entrepreneurs, but they're not willing to spend money. They're not willing to spend time. They're not willing to put in effort. And because of that, they live a mediocre life. They spend their entire time in resistance, because what's required to be an entrepreneur is to be able to take risks. But if you're not a risky person, then your entire life is going to be filled being in a trap where you feel like, and from the outside, it seems like you are free. It seems like you have all the things that you set out to have. But in reality, you're constantly fighting a battle with finances. You're constantly fighting a battle with your own identity, with yourself. You're constantly fighting a battle with the manager of yourself trying to manage you. And you'll just face a lot of resistance. This video is for anybody that may be stuck on the fence. I really hope that for the people that are entrepreneurs, this type of video, even though it's probably long, I hope whoever sticks to the end, I hope you really actually appreciate it. I know a lot of people are probably gonna be like, this guy's not talking about advertising for insurance, so I don't care what he's talking about. But for the people that do watch this, I appreciate it. I feel like this type of video really would have helped me at the beginning, and it really would have inspired me. And so for those of you that are out there that are entrepreneurs, I hope that this video truly inspires you, and it really gets you to be like, what more could I sacrifice? Because I know it will lead to prosperity in the future. And for those of you that have been in your minds about whether or not this should be me, this entrepreneurial life, I hope this creates enlightenment that maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you, and that you're able to go find a job. And I truly hope that finding a job creates more happiness, more fulfillment in your life, to where you don't have to be your own manager. You don't have to be in charge of that. You don't have to be willing to risk every single dollar you've ever made up to this point to make it work, because that's not for everybody. Not everybody's supposed to do that. And so hope this video creates freedom. Again, this isn't like my normal videos, but if you did like it, please leave a like. I will really appreciate that for any of you that do like what I talked about today. All right, thank you guys. See you on the next one.